Fortunately, unarmed, not doing quite as well as it was before here. We are slowly but surely creeping up there. Skill 18 now is pretty solid. But it is, of course, limited slightly when you're using a shield as well. And unfortunately, no claws mutations for us today. But that is a-okay as we are slowly but surely chonking our way through this scary floor. This is just depths 3, huh? How about that? Well, I almost never want to go back to that other stairwell. But I also don't want to leave a band of caustic strikes just flying around a level. Seems like a little bit of a no-win scenario to a certain degree, to a certain extent. Between your current run and the run that you got to Zot 5, you had one where you died to a ball python on D1. At least it wasn't a frilled lizard, right? That's all we can hope for in life. Take what we can get otherwise. Oh, Rakshasa doubling up some of our executioners here. I'd appreciate it if you did not, my friend. Okay, tripling up our... quadrupling up. Okay, it's out of control. Do I even wanna... Okay, this is just getting worse and worse by the moment here. So good day, sir. Good day. They don't show up as summons, but I think they are temporary, right? Do they disappear if I use some violent unraveling? Huh. Maybe I'll have to test on the next Rakshasa I see, because the main thing is that they don't want to give you that icon. Again, Mike Bonk, because I'm so good at expressing myself. But they don't want to give you that icon so that you don't know which one is real, I guess, and just immediately murder it. But can I use Yara's Violent Unraveling to deduce which one is affected? Or which one is the real one, rather? That's kind of interesting. You'd still have to spend the mana, of course, and it would still assumedly blast out against a non-summon, but just do nothing to them. Let's try it out. If I... No, it says no magical effects to unravel. Interesting. But game, question from the audience, doesn't that count? I feel like that counts. It's a summon. My Phantom Mirror things are summons. The name of the spell is Phantom Mirror. You might be beginning to see my problem, DCSS, my issue here. Let's take out this vampire real quick, and yeah, the ball python can actually constrict and is fast and stuff. It definitely is. No, the ball pythons can be tricky depending on what kind of character you're starting out with. They rank somewhere maybe just slightly below a null on D1. Definitely below an adder, but also very much a threat in their own right. Never want to dismiss those early ball pythons if you're playing on a squishy little boy. Hello, my constricting friend. If you could come right this way, please, I'd greatly appreciate. Have you heard the word? Like to hear about your Lord and Savior, Tentacle Monstrosity? Oh, never mind, you're dead. Oh, that works for me. What the heck are you? A walking earthen tome. A spellbook that has gone too long without being read. It overflows with magic, forming thick armor from its bindings, legs from its pages, and periodically erupting in flurries of free-floating self-casting spells. That's really cute. Conjured living spells creates several living autonomous spells which cast themselves at the first foe to enter their range. That's really fun. The earthen totem creates living petrify spells. Huh. You know that you are playing Demon Spawn Conjurers now until you win? Yeah, you did mention that Or do I know that? Yes, you did mention on Wednesday. That's a fun one. Demon Spawn in general are one of my more favored species. I find them a lot of fun. Gnolls have very much quickly raised themselves up through the ranks to probably become my top favorite. Genie, also a contender there. Actually, I should just stop listing them because I feel like every time I think of a new species that I really like, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's actually my favorite. I'm a bad test subject for that kind of mentality. That's why I have such a hard time making up my mind on things. I just like too much about too many things, apparently. Ah, there are my Shrikey pals. There is another Shrikey pal. Gosh, we're gonna bring the whole flock on our head here. I mean, we can pretty safely read a teleport at this stage on this floor, but if possible, it's probably a good idea to kill some of these sons of guns, hey? Scariest enemy in the game right here. Especially since it shows up as early as depths. If I only found Caustic Strikes in Zot, wouldn't be surprised, and I would be much more accepting of them, but in depths, these are just an absolute nightmare of a force. But you got Sifmuna from the Fated Altar and Spirit Shield Mutation on your current run? Nice. You guess the PS Ice Cave bounces your good luck? Isn't that always the case? It's the whole mentality where if you make it through a large section of the game, getting all the most brilliant artifacts you ever did see, you know that you're pretty much queuing up negative luck for the next however long in that run. Cursing them to an eternity of death and doom, for sure, to say the least. Okay, I cannot... Oh, contaminated myself too much, actually. I was hoping to kill at least this one Caustic Shrike. What did I discover last time when we fought one? Because Irradiate wasn't doing anything. Was it just fisticuffs? Did we just fight yet? And the corrosion starts rolling in, so I'm immediately going to read a teleport. That's too many birds, if you ask me. Oh my gosh, what the heck? Are there two? Are there two different flocks? Excuse me? No, I did not sign up for this. Hopefully you're just alone and that you got separated from the pack. Right? Would be nice. I mean, we're still making a lot of noise, and this is a new living situation. I don't know what to expect from the enemies here. If you could please just let me settle in before causing a ruckus, I would greatly appreciate that. But it at least does look like the Caustic Shrike was a bit of an isolated event here, so that's good. Normally, not too scared of this. I am real flayed though, and I can't kill you too quickly, unfortunately. So, maybe this is an opportunity to bring Dispersal into the mix. Let's blast you, get rid of the Eden real quick. Wait, is Dispersal the spell I think it is? Where did you go, friend? I think it makes enemies blink, right? Am I confusing you? Okay. It teleports away any creature within a short distance. You know, this isn't the spell I was thinking of, though, because I think this one is more targeted versus what's the... I can't even think of the word I'm looking for. The like status effect that makes all enemies. Disjunction is the spell that I was thinking of. I don't actually think I've used Dispersal, so how about that? Turns out it's incredible and will probably be seeing a heck of a lot of use. In fact, it might have been a good idea to use against the Caustic Shrikes earlier. Yeah, exactly, Ugly. It was Disjunction. Perfect. Glad that I'm not completely out of the loop in that regard, but can see with the Gong Shield that we've established a little bit of a pattern. This is just depths 3. Don't have too many teleportation scrolls to keep spamming. I guess we can maybe take this fight. Gold Dragon is kind of scary. Bring out a box of beasts. And me and my new friend here can show these buddies what's what. How about that? Bring out Irradiate nice and early in the fight to just take care of some of the problem targets, and then we should be able to just mash our way through the rest of these Sons of Guns. Oh my gosh, it's my first time seeing the new Gold Dragon Scales tile. Unfortunately, this character is, I would argue, far too weak to use Gold Dragon Scales, but they do look nice. I'll at least try it out. Any considerations for switching out Gong during Zots 1 through 5? So yeah, 1 through 4, I'll probably switch out, because I think I'm going to be sneaking through without exploring the entirety of each of those floors. And I mean, if you're going in with the Gong, you might as well explore the entirety of the floors, because it's not like you're not having to kill the entirety of the monster population down there anyway. So with that in mind, I might be switching over to the regular shield for Orb of Zot, depending on how we feel at the moment. Always have to build in some level of caveat just to make sure that if I'm feeling wacky, wild, and silly, I can do my stupid decisions as well. Just heard a bunch of screeches as we made noise here. Blares shrikes to me, unfortunately. But we'll see what comes crawling out. Might be lucky, might be wrong. Wouldn't that be nice? This is a shapeshifter. Bunyip was the wrong choice, friend. Catoplebis was actually probably a good one. Something with a good utility, right? Because most of the monsters that you were turning into were a little trash. Oh my gosh, the gold dragon scales look so cool. Oh, and okay, here are the caustic shrikes, or at least one of them. By which I of course meant all of them. But we have a lot of Wand of Digging, so this time around... Oh, I'm at the edge of the map. Would you look at that? I'm actually going to make a bit of a hallway, and ideally, we don't have to teleport again. Generally, these situations work out to be less than the ideal case, but one can dream. So let's bring all you Sons of Guns in and apply lightning liberally, like you do. So at least get stronger on each blast as well, which helps out. Gets us pretty close to killing all the Caustrics, that's nice. We're still missing the Fed-S Tier 2 and Tier 3 banners. Which ones are those? I can also check at the end of the run here to double check on what we may need. Well, unfortunately, I do believe that this is the last run that I'll have on camera during the tournament session with how busy the rest of my weekend is. I do hope to potentially have an hour or two to kind of slip in on the edge cases and potentially try and get us some more points as a team. But we'll see how that goes. It's been a long time since I played DCSS not on camera, and I'm very curious how my playstyle has evolved. So often I compare the two, and it's very much comparing in a vacuum because I largely just play on camera these days. I very much enjoy playing on camera over kind of my solo time, but we'll see how it goes. So thank you, Colgate, for posting the banner info, so we don't have to go check that out at the moment. Tier 2 is get the golden rune, so make it to Tomb. And Tier 3 is enter Tomb for the first time after picking up the orb and then get the golden rune. So yeah, the classic raid Tomb with the orb in hand, I've definitely seen attempted many a time. That's actually one of my favorite Ultraviolent 4 videos, is where they took that challenge on. Jefinitely an interesting journey to go down. Quite a tough one to say the least. Could this... Jeez. Can't talk. Let's give myself a moment. Collect. Could this character handle? Mixing up character and handle. Just blending those into one completely illegible word. But can this character handle the golden rune? Definitely not at my current state right here. If we wanted to be able to handle the current... or the golden rune... I would need a lot more positivity, or negativity resistance, rather. I would also probably want a greater crowd control source, so something like Ignition showing up and becoming castable, potentially. What else could probably get us through it? I'd also like more consumables. In general, the reason why I wouldn't take this character on like a 15 rune victory, even if we did have the time to kind of explore that avenue, is just because we are lacking in a lot of resistances and don't have a lot of good ways to take out big, scary targets. So I do think we'd start to fall behind. And actually, I think, funnily enough, the thing that I actually started that sentence to say, that I ended up completely forgetting halfway through, was that we've used up too many of our consumables, I feel. We unfortunately had a pretty rough start to the run and managed to use up far too many blink scrolls in Swamp. And it's nice to have something like that for sure when going through those later sections of the game. You need all those tools at your disposal. Generally, you'll, on a good character, have an entire run's worth of those consumables to kind of eke out your own advantages, which is huge. But definitely not the case for this character in particular, so I'd feel hesitant to put it lightly about trying to bring this character through something like Tomb or any of the kind of end-of-the-line areas, especially New Hells is interesting. Haven't actually experienced any of those yet, so we will at some point have to try and fit in a 15 rune run in this current iteration of the game, and should be really interesting. But holy moly, there we go. We managed to use up and recharge the lightning rod like 2.5 times in total. So definitely quite the encounter up here. I'm hoping that those caustic strikes were the same ones from before and they just happened to come all this way. Might be thinking a little too optimistically in that regard, but we'll have to see how it goes. Vault and Slime can have consumables as loot. Yeah, I would definitely never say that it's impossible for this character to make it through those sections of the games. There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. You can force your way through it, even if you're just playing that much more cautiously and slowly. Tomb may be a little bit sketchier in those regards, because no matter how cautious you are, if you're dropped into a giant crowd, you're gonna have a rough time. But no, definitely could come back from that, could believe or start to believe that we had a shot. Unfortunately, timing-wise, I feel a bit less confident. Because we don't have too much longer now. I will be staying a bit later than initially planned just to try and finish off this run, since it is going fairly smoothly, and we're getting there slowly but surely. But in general, that's about as far as I'm able to go today specifically. But I wanted to pick up these gold dragon scales and just see what they look like. Oh wait, no, I can't, because my armor's cursed to my body. Okay, new plan. Let's find a stairway up, shall we? Let's see, we can find a ring here that's resist poison, resist fire, in+5, and see invisible. Hold up. I want this. Cunning and fortitude are being offered to us. What can we put this on? I'm not interested, so let's shatter some chains. And I'm going to get rid of the Share My Doubts ring. This is just a bog standard fire, or ring of fire. So let's snap that real quick. And, oh, more gold dragon scales. Even more, wow. Instead, get a resistance to fire and in+5. See invisible and resist poison, unfortunately, are both already overlapping capabilities that we have, but that's very nice. I will definitely throw that on, putting us back up to 3 pips of RC at the very least. It's something. And the in+5 definitely doesn't hurt. Oh, enchant weapon, that I can actually read and put on my Fustabelos that we haven't touched in far too long. Yet I will never get rid of, because these are my hoarding mentalities, or my hoarding mentality coming into full effect here. Though don't tell my partner that I've admitted to being a hoarder, because I like to imagine, or at least lie and tell her that we always might need that in the future. Who knows when I might want to put together a random shelf or something out of pieces of plywood. Gotta keep those around. All comes from having a very kind of creative and artistic family. My mom is always about making use of things twice like that. At least twice, I should say. Demon Spawn is the only species that takes damage from both Holy Word and Torment Scrolls. Yes, unfortunately so. Unfortunately so. But that is funny. Is it really the only one? I guess, yeah, most of the undead species are immune to Torment. Ghoul, vampire. Maybe not vampire. Ghouls and mummies for sure. Vampires, I always forget because they're split off into blooded and bloodless. I kind of forget a lot of the small things. I'm sure I'll have to become refreshed by the time our win with every species runs catch up to that point. But interesting. What did I want to come upstairs to do? Let's try and remember this. Gold Dragon Scales. Can't do... but it is Gold Dragon Scales. Also realized as soon as I started talking about loud that I did not share my thoughts, so there's no way anybody could have possibly helped us. But I want to go to our depths entrance and drop these right here. Because now we might end up changing into those right before we exit the dungeon just to check out how they look, what the fit is like, maybe convince everyone on the outside world that we're a big tough gnoll, not a 10 strength one. And that should be just about right. Perfect. Let's hope the rest of this floor isn't an absolute nightmare. I mean, no Caustic Shrikes left, potentially. Maybe just one herd of Caustic Shrikes left. You son of a gun. How did I know? How did I know? Oh gosh, and it's all of you. No, I have to come up here. I was thinking of coming to this choke point, but I don't actually know if there are enemies here. I guess that's probably one of the Shrikes that's following me on a second thought here, so probably could have just gone for it. But let's instead take a wide berth, make sure the fire dragon also doesn't hit the alarm trap. Oh boy. And then we should be able to fight you. As long as it's just one Caustic Strike, we have resist corrosion, we're not getting too corroded in this encounter, and we're looking okay. Holy moly. Better than I expected, actually. Makes me look like I shouldn't have been quite as fearful of them, potentially, but I know from past experience and how many truly promising characters I've lost to a flock of those sons of guns, that I would much rather give them the respect they deserve, play it cautious, play it safe, and live to fight another day. Drop that protection ring. But true, alive vampires also take from both, do you think? Okay, so that's interesting, but it does have that extra specification of needing to be in that alive state, so that's kind of funny. Demon Spawn is less unique than you thought. No, I still think that they're a beautiful, wonderful butterfly in their own right. Vampires already have such a special edge case scenario thing going for them that I don't think they're allowed to be judged against the rest of the species. No offense to vampires, of course. Very respectfully calling them a piece of trash. Drop that Phantom Mirror. Already have one. Kind of wish my inventory was full now so that I could choose to ignore that for the rest of eternity, but it is what it is. Always gotta love it when under construction hits just at the right moment. Just in case that's unclear for anyone, that's the name of this song on the Polybridge soundtrack. Don't you... Oh, they did mutate me. My bones are less dense. Am I going to be able to fly? Have a somewhat thin skeletal structure, Dex +2, and stealth. I got a positive mutation from a Necoxic. Holy moly, how about that? How about that? I see where our deterioration was coming from now. I don't actually know when we picked up this mutation. Must have been like an elf, maybe? A demon was summoned that I didn't notice. Do I prefer the current 2-blood state vampires or old ones with more blood states? I think... I haven't played a lot of vampires, but I think I'd have to say that I like the new one. if just because I tried playing vampires back in the day, and given I was also very much crap at the game and didn't really put a lot of research into knowing a lot of stuff, I'd never, you know, gotten any level of real success in my first like year or two of playing. But that being said, I will say that old vampires, I used to try and play them and just get confused and have no idea what I was doing. New vampire, I find, is kind of a fun little sweet spot. It's still kind of complicated. You can still use those two states to really like change your playstyle completely. As I was mentioning earlier in the stream, I have a vampire character, or had a vampire character that was struggling a lot. And so I kept switching between the two states to change which area I was facing. It was going bloodless to go into spider, hunt down as much as I could comfortably make it there, and then things were getting too rough, so I switched back to a live state, back to regular dungeon. And that was kind of fun to have that like kind of Boolean poison resistance and stuff like that. Really interesting playstyle. Made it very cool in a lot of ways. But I do find from a thematic standpoint, it was cool to have the broad spectrum of blood states, but from a mechanic standpoint, probably prefer the current iteration myself. Another fire resistance ring. This one gives 4 AC and int +2. What does our current one give us? Int +5 and fire resistance, the rest of which is not necessary. We do have a lot of money. -9 MP could come back to bite us. AC +4 also kind of slowly but surely becoming more and more useless as we continue to get further along here. I might just leave you for now, but I at least had to think about it, so that's something. And instead of searching through all of these books, I'm just going to look for some relevant things. So I want Manifold Assault. No. I want Spellforge Servitor. No. Servitor. Oops, not Servitor. Servitor. No, so unfortunately none of the books that I'm looking for at the moment. Oh, we'll try it out. Or try to move forward without for the time being, I should say. You currently stay alive, -20% HP is like playing a deep elf. Miserable. I can definitely commiserate with you there. Specifically on the current history that I have with deep elves on past Sunday, of course. Hopefully this next Sunday things go more smoothly and I can instead be a happy elf boy. But we'll have to see how things go. At the very least, when you go bloodless on a vampire, you get something out of it. Like, getting in poison resistance is a pretty sweet find in most situations. As well as the, I guess, the torment resistance and whatnot, right? But I think it's fair enough to have an issue with that, because -20% HP is absolutely crippling, to say the least. Too many Tengus and Deep Elves lately. Too many Tengus and Deep Elves for me. Which is funny as well, because I still constantly go back to being just baffled by the fact that for our 100 follower and celebration where we did a 15 rune run on a Felid, that somehow went perfectly. That was the run where I was expecting to just die over and over again and have to switch to one of the other suggestions that we'd gotten from the audience. But yeah, exactly as safe it says, Felids are easy mode, clearly. -30% HP, honestly easier than -20% HP. I know it doesn't make sense, but if you thought differently, you'd just be wrong. So, guess you have to live with that. Live with being a fool and thinking that -20% HP is less of a disadvantage. Felid has resist death to compensate. That's true. And I think we did die, I think twice over the course of a 15 rune run. And to be fair, they were relatively early on, I believe, because once we had statue form and manifold assault in our spellbook, that was actually easy mode. Not just making a joke at Felid's expense. That was actually just fantastic and straightforward. Didn't end up using storm form manifold assault as much as I thought I would, but didn't really need to on that run, past that stage in the game. There we go, chomping through these trolls like we're chopping lumber here. No problems whatsoever. I actually expected a larger crowd of fans to find us. I mean, we're playing our music here, banging our gong, and nothing? Hey Fredrick, how's it going? One of my favorite uniques in the game, just because I do find you one of the most unique. Not many svelts in the dungeon these days. In fact, I think you may be the only one, friend. Bolt of Cold, Iron Shot, and Force Lance all do hurt, don't get me wrong. But I can probably kill you. Especially since you're gonna wake up eventually if I don't, so... create my own Fredrick. Take a look at my Fredrick. It's the only one I got. And we should just be able to kill you actually way quicker than I even expected. Holy moly, it's done. Well, that's a shock, but I'll take it gladly. You had Spellport Servitor casting LCS on that Zot 5 run, and it was so good. It is absolutely incredible. You have to be slightly concerned not to accidentally kill yourself with your Servitor, but that put aside, an absolutely fantastic combination. That's the safest way, or at least the most straightforward way, to kill Orbs of Fire, to say the least. You can just have a Servitor launching infinite numbers of Lahudib's Crystal Spears. You're probably in a pretty good spot for that. Excuse me, friends. I guess I might as well pretty much kill this Deathwing just to get you off my back. There we go. Fantastic. And then we can tab our way through the rest of the fight without too much problem, besides when Chaos Clouds appear and kind of ruin the day for everyone involved. But there we have it. Not too bad. But yeah, that's why, Colgate, I'm hoping to get Spellport Servitor on this run as well, because we are at the cusp of greatness in that regard. We do have Lahudib's Crystal Spear in our spellbook, so all we need is that final piece of the puzzle, and I'll almost definitely try and bring that into the fray. Fortunately, Spellport Servitor is a mixed school spell, so gnolls have a pretty good time learning it relative to the single school ones, which is awesome. A phase when you are a Minotaur fighter and keep finding level 7 to 9 spells. Of course. That's the secondary most classic rule to DCSS. The first being, as we mentioned earlier, if you find good loot, you're gonna die. The second being, if you're playing on a character that will never use one thing or another, well, you're about to be the luckiest cookie you ain't ever did see when it comes to finding that piece of useless equipment. Generally, that's going to be a Felid finding gold dragon scales on D2 of the dungeon, or something like orange crystal plate armor on a Felid. Just a classic. But never change DCSS. It's what keeps bringing us back. Everyone who plays does have a certain level of sadism kind of built in, or I guess less so sadism, more so why can't I think because it's masochistic. There we go. Kept wanting to say masochist, which is just not what I'm going for whatsoever. Mixing up the consonants, that seems to be a bit of a trend for today. But hey, live with it, roll with it. That's just apparently how my brain works at the moment. Just have to make do and try and make the most sense I can to all of you lovely folk in my insanity here. And the third being never fight a land war in Asia. Exactly. Yeah. Only slightly less well known. Of course, never gamble with the Sicilian when death is on the line, but we all knew this. Don't even need my clarification, of course. And while gnolls learn single school spells and multi-school spells equally well, only level matters. Every other species struggles with multi-school. So actually, do we learn single better? Oh, I guess we do, because it's an average, right? Why did I think otherwise? Let's plop in here. These are equal. These are not equal. But that's because we have a lot of beguiling giving us hexes. That's why. It's Ashen Zari that's throwing me off. Because you are correct. I guess Genie being the notable one that actually, I think, does better with multi-school than single spells. Though again, I could be wrong about that. I don't know where I'm pulling these factoids, but I feel like they're true. Probably conflating one thing or another. Oh boy, a short sword of chaos. Yeah, actually, speaking of which, I should probably try out my Fustabalis at some point, right? We're so good at throwing now that I haven't been trying it out. Genie does equally well as well. Huh, then it is just my brain. For whatever reason, assuming that the multi-school came easier to us. I wonder where I pulled that from. Or at least, at the very least, when I pulled that out of my own butt. Because, I believed with an unreasonable level of certainty in completely incorrect information, which, I mean, is just a given. I like to question myself often for that very reason, because I feel like there are a lot of things in life that I have that level of self-assurance on that is completely unjustified and potentially detrimental in one way or another. But there we go. That is depths cleared. Holy moly. Definitely was a little bit of a trial, but we made it through here. But multi-school spells tend to be better than the same level single schools, so Gnolls and Genie like them, right? I guess we have an easier time on these species. That's actually probably where it came from. It's easier on a Gnoll or Genie to get a multi-school spell online than it is for every other species. That's much more accurate. So thank you for finally helping me get back to center there, make sure that I'm not conflating some things and making terrible assumptions, as it were. But okie dokie, it's third rune time. Could go to slime potentially. Don't have any immolation on us, but I'm guessing we left some lying around. Quite a few lying around. That's something. What's my Gozag fee? 2,443 coins. Definitely a little bit on the pricey side, to say the least. To be fair, though, I would still have 2,000... how much gold? It would be like 3,200 or something like that. Again, I should take that off the screen so no one else can do the math better than me, because I definitely did it wrong, but let's pretend I didn't, because I'm very smart, you see. And let us find a gate to the abyss. So there is one in depths 1. You could take me here real quick, that'd be nice. Still enough to bribe, and that's all I need. To be fair, if we were following Gozag by now, it's a good representation of just how much money you get from the bodies of your foes, because we would definitely... By the time I get into Zot, I like to have at least 12,000 gold, because that way I can just bribe my way through the entirety of Zot, no problem. So definitely just a wee bit shy of that 12,000 that I'd normally like to have, but that's of course with the good old Moneybags assistance in gathering up that sweet, sweet treasure. But I think we're going to plop ourselves into the abyss. Let's switch over away from our gong shield for now. It also means that I could potentially break my necklace. Hold up. Do I want... Yeah, I probably need Arlek. Anywho, right? Also down 1 willpower, right? I kind of forgot that we were getting that as well from our shield here. Look at that stealth score when we don't have the gong, though. Ooh, boy. Oy vey. Not too bad. Que bueno. But I probably do want to switch my necklace. Unfortunately, reflection is huge. Oh, but we do have one lying around. In fact, let's do a quick search for reflect. I think we left one on the floor. So with that in mind, maybe seeing if there's anything we want to curse real quick. Could curse this ring. If we ever want to replace it, we have a decently comparable one in that shop. Just for the melee, I guess melee and ranged is nice for both unarmed and throwing. So I'll take it. And then I'm going to shatter some chains real quick, don't mind me. Sorry, Amulet of Ashenzar's Portent, you're fired. Perfect. And then let's put on this fancy dancy boy. And there we go. Negativity is going to be an issue here. Oops. I just want to highlight this nicely. Thank you, game. But just have to play around that. Be a little bit careful. Thanks for the small nuggets of crawl knowledge you didn't know here or there. No problem, Callie. I'd like to think that I supply some helpful pieces of information, though I know that often it's a case of showing what not to do in any given scenario. But it helps having played for as long as I have. Just with kind of picking up little things here or there, there's still so much I don't know, which is why I find on the flip side of that, that I thank all of the people in chat for the little nuggets that they bring to the table, like Colgate just a few minutes ago. Reconfiguring my mentality behind Genie and Knowles and reminding me what that actually came from, what kind of truth was at the nugget of all that. So as much as I love the idea that I'm helping out, I would like to offer the sincere thanks to all of you lovely folks for helping me out as well, because we're learning together and I feel like it makes us all better players in the long run. And I absolutely love that for us. Okie dokie. Should I drop the Shield of the Gong? I think I will. I will need the inventory slots. Last but not least, we definitely drop our magic mapping scrolls. And I threw it on the ground. Where does that leave us? We have 6 slots. Yeah, that should be enough. Blink scroll. Is there anything else? I guess some equipment potentially if that shows up. Mostly I'm just hoping for blink scrolls down here if possible. Wouldn't that be nice?